You ever feel like the media's out here finessing you?
Got him. We fucking got him.
I mean, they got you all in your emotions with anger, fear, while the people at the top controlling this game is just sitting back laughing at you like a bunch of goofies.
You are really dumb, for real.
I mean, they hype up every drama, every crisis, just to keep you glued to their screens, making bank off the stress of you. Meanwhile, the real issue is the stuff that actually matters barely gets a mention. Now let's break it down and see what's really going on behind these headlines. Y'all willing to go on this journey with me? Let's go.
You are now experiencing Hugh XM.
Today, I had an eye-opening chat with a friend who lives out of state. He's genuinely worried about my safety and well-being in California, saying it's like living in a third world country with violence, homelessness, government issues, job layoffs, and high living costs. At first, I laughed, but then I realized he was serious and suggested I move to his state for a better quality of life. It made me think, yes, there are challenges here, but is it really that bad? California is still a beautiful and generally safe place. Sure, there are areas to avoid, but overall things are intact. After all, about 40 million people live here. I asked where he got his info, and he said it's all over the news and social media. That made me wonder about the algorithms he's encountering because that's not my daily reality. I started noticing how certain media content is designed to provoke negative emotions like anger, fear, or insecurity. The more I paid attention, the more I saw how pervasive these sensationalist stories are. This realization hit me hard. Maybe the problem isn't with reality, but with how it's portrayed through the media. So I decided to dig deeper and research what's really going on. Now, this realization hit me hard. Maybe the problem isn't reality itself, but with how it is portrayed through the media. See, this led me to dig deeper and research what's really going on. Every day, we're bombarded with news from all angles: television, social media, newspaper, etc. But how often do we stop to think about the reality behind these headlines? Are we consuming news that is informative and accurate? Or are we just getting caught up in the sensationalism that is designed to grab our attention? So let's dive in and explore the truth behind these headlines. First, let's talk about the violence. Now, if you were to watch the news or anything through mainstream media, it seems like every street corner is a war zone in America. But here's the kicker. Historically, violence is actually on a decline. I bet you don't believe me, right? Well, let's take a deeper look. See, way back in the day, we had things like public executions, duels, and even wars that wiped out an entire generation. Now, that's not to say that violence isn't a problem. Of course, violence is everywhere on this planet. But the media wants you to think that it's worse than it ever been. Because of what, guys? Fear. That's right, fear sells. A scared viewer is a loyal viewer. Media outlets often highlight violent incidents, creating a perception that violence is at unprecedented levels. Headlines about shootings, assaults, and other violent crimes dominate news cycles, leading many to believe that society is becoming increasingly dangerous. This constant exposure to violent events can skew public perception, making it seem as though violence is rampant and unrelenting. When we look at the historical data, however, a different picture emerges. The FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting (UCR) program provides detailed statistics on violent crime in the United States. Here's a closer look at the trends over the past 6 decades. So let's break it down. The numbers show that while the total number of violent crimes has gone up and down, the crime rate per 100,000 people has generally dropped since the 90s. This means public safety has gotten better, thanks to better crime prevention and law enforcement. Now, the spike in the 90s was due to things like the crack epidemic and gun and gang violence. But since then, violent crime rates have actually dropped a lot, showing the new strategies and the community programs may actually be working. Even with these improvements, the media's focus on violent events makes it seem like violence is everywhere. This gap between what's real and what's reported can make people more scared and anxious. We need to balance these crime stories with the bigger picture and historical trends to get a true sense of public safety. Now let's talk about the economy. Every other day, there's a headline screaming about the next Great Recession or even a new Great Depression. Remember back in 2008, y'all? Man, that was crazy times, right? Well, here's the deal. Economies go through their cycles. There's ups and there's downs. The media loves to hype every dip as if it's the end of the world. Why? Because fear of financial ruins keeps us glued to our screens. I mean, according to some of these headlines, we should all be living in bunkers by now, right? But here we are, still standing. The point is, the media simplifies these complex issues because it's easier to sell panic than to explain the nuances of economic trends. So what's the real reason for this? It's all about capturing attention and keeping the viewers engaged. Fear of dramatic headlines draw in readers and viewers, which then turns and drives the ratings and ad revenue up. But it's not just about media outlets that benefit from this. Several other groups are also cashing in on this sensationalism. Advertisers benefit from higher viewer engagement because more eyes on ads lead to increased ad revenue. Politicians use economic fear to push agendas, gain support, or criticize opponents. Financial analysts and investment firms can leverage economic fear to influence market movements, which can be profitable for them. Crisis consultants gain more business as experts offering advice during economic uncertainty. And let's not forget clickbait websites, which profit from the increased traffic generated by sensational headlines and articles. This creates a cycle where fear and drama keeps viewers engaged, benefiting these groups financially and politically. Now, the point is, the media simplifies these complex issues as if they're black or white, because it's easier to sell panic than it is to explain nuance in these economic trends. I don't know about y'all, but I'm starting to see a consistent common pattern here. But let's move on. Advertisers benefit from higher viewer engagement because more eyes on ads lead to increased ad revenue. Politicians use economic fear to push agendas, gain support, or criticize opponents. Financial analysts and investment firms can leverage economic fear to influence market movements, which can be profitable for them. Crisis consultants gain more business as experts offering advice during economic uncertainty. And let's not forget clickbait websites, which profit from the increased traffic generated by sensational headlines and articles. This creates a cycle where fear and drama keep viewers engaged, benefiting these groups financially and politically. The point is, the media simplifies these complex issues as if they are black or white because it's easier to sell panic than it is to explain nuanced economic trends. GDP. In the first quarter of 2024, the U.S. GDP grew at an annual rate of 1.3%. Now that's down from 3.4% in the fourth quarter of 2023. But here's what's driving that growth: higher consumer spending and more investment in housing. Sure, there was a drop in inventory investment and imports went up, which affects the GDP calculation, but overall, the economy is still moving forward. Low unemployment. As of May 2024, the unemployment rate is at 3.7%. That's pretty solid and shows that the job market is holding strong. Despite all the economic ups and downs, people are still finding work, and that's a good sign. Higher wages. Wages are on the rise. Disposable personal income went up by 0.2% in April 2024. More money in people's pockets means more spending, even with prices going up. This increase in personal income helps keep the economy buzzing. Inflation, the PCE price index, which measures how much more we're paying for goods and services, went up by 3.4% in the first quarter of 2024. That's a jump from 1.8% in the previous quarter. If we exclude food and energy, the core PCE price index rose by 3.7%. Yep, things are getting pricier, but it's a sign of a dynamic economy. Consumer confidence? People are cautiously optimistic. In April 2024, consumer spending rose by 0.2%. Even with the economic uncertainties and rising costs, folks are still out there spending, which keeps the economy ticking. So, what's the takeaway? Despite some challenges, the economy has its strong points. GDP growth is steady, unemployment is low, wages are rising, inflation is manageable, and consumer confidence is holding up. Remember, always dig deeper than the headlines and look at the bigger picture. Now that we've tackled how the media loves to scare us with violence and economic doom, let's talk about some other areas where they really go overboard. Let's talk about job loss and artificial intelligence. Every other week, there's a new article about how robots are going to take our jobs and leave us all in the dust. I'll be back to take your job. That was a terrible Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator reference, but y'all get what I'm saying. Yes, automation is changing the job market, but it's not like we're all going to be replaced overnight. The media thrives on these dystopian narratives because they're dramatic and attention-grabbing. Let's break it down. AI and automation are evolving, but they're also creating new opportunities and enhancing existing jobs. Think about how many jobs and industries exist today that didn't a decade ago. It's all about adapting and learning new skills. Sure, some jobs will change or even disappear, but new ones will emerge. Y'all remember when computers first became a thing? See, people back then thought that they were going to take over the world too. Spoiler alert, they didn't. We've adapted, and we'll do it again. It's the same thing with AI. Instead of fearing the change, we need to understand it and find our place within this evolving landscape. Let's think critically for a bit and identify the influences that AI really has on industries that they are a part of and are employed by. AI isn't just about taking jobs, it's about enhancing them too. Here's some cool examples we can share with you. Look at healthcare. AI is helping doctors diagnose diseases faster and more accurately. Imagine having an AI assistant that analyzes medical images in seconds, helping doctors catch issues early. The education industry. Teachers now have AI tools that personalize learning for each student. These tools can adapt to a student's pace and help identify areas where they need more help. Customer service chatbots powered by AI handle routine inquiries, allowing human customer service reps to focus on more complex issues. This makes customer service more efficient and satisfying for customers. Also, manufacturing AI-driven robots handle repetitive and dangerous tasks, freeing up humans to work on more strategic and creative aspects of production. Then there's finance. AI algorithms analyze massive amounts of data to detect fraud and provide insights for better financial decision-making. This helps financial professionals work smarter, not harder. So next time you see a scary headline about robots taking over, just take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And hey, if robots ever do take over, then maybe we can finally get them to install world peace without eliminating us first, of course. Now let's talk about social division. The media loves to pit us against each other. Men versus women, black versus white, rich versus poor, tall people against short people, you name it. They make it seem as if we're on the brink of a civil war. And maybe we are. Who knows? But what I do know is most of us get along just fine on our day-to-day lives. But showing people getting along doesn't get the clicks. Remember, conflict equals cash. Now, according to the media, every family dinner should end in a shouting match or some type of family civil war, right? But look around you. Do you see that happening? Probably not. The truth is, these issues are complex, and reducing them to simple device narratives only serves to keep us in constant state of conflict. Take a moment to think about your own experiences. How often do you really encounter the extreme divisions portrayed in the media? More often than not, we find common ground and get along just fine. Sure, we have our differences, but that's what makes us unique. Instead of focusing on what divides us, let's celebrate our diversity and work together to find solutions to the challenges we face. At the end of the day, it's all about perspective. The media's job is to get you to watch, read, or click. But it's up to us to dig deeper, understand the context, and see the bigger picture. Let's add a little fun. Imagine a world where media only showed positive interactions. You see, it's not that hard to imagine people getting along. We just need to focus on the positive more than often. The future isn't set in stone, and we have the power to shape it by staying informed and proactive. So let's keep these conversations going. Let's stay curious and remember to have a little bit of fun along the way. Okay, so what's the takeaway here? The media loves to manipulate our emotions with sensationalism and oversimplification. Yeah, we know that. But we don't have to just fall for it. What we need to do is be critical. We need to think for ourselves and don't let the fear drive our decisions. At the end of the day, we have the power to seek out nuance and objective information. So let's not let this media game of fear and sensationalism control us. Let's stay informed, let's stay curious, but most importantly, let's stay hopeful. Listen, that's my time, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. It's me, J-Bo, and you are experiencing the human experience, which is known as HuXM. Y'all know the deal. If you enjoyed this, if you've already subscribed, hit the like button. Please share and leave a comment. But most importantly, like I said, share. Share this with others. 5 to 10 people pass this along. In the meantime, y'all, stay positive, stay productive, and stay in the presence. And I'm out. I'm out. And I'm out. I'm fucking with y'all. All right, man, I holla.